Hello students, we have understood the last topic, Lennard and Hallmark experiment for the study of photoelectric effect. Now whatever conclusions we have taken out there about the dependence of different quantities like stopping potential, photocurrent on some factors, all that conclusions now we are listing down in form of laws. So we'll understand now laws of photoelectric emission. With the help of the Einstein equation, we'll understand and we'll draw the graphs also along with these laws. So let us start now the two statements or two laws first. For a given photosensitive material, there exists a minimum frequency called threshold frequency below which no photoelectrons are emitted. Okay, this we have discussed already, that h nu if it is the incident energy and h nu 0 is the work function. Work function means minimum energy required to take one electron out of the metal surface. So if this h nu is greater than h nu 0, okay, incident radiation is carrying more energy than required, then only the photoelectric effect will take place or electron comes out. This we have already discussed. This is the first condition of photoelectric effect. So we can write in this thing in form of nu and nu zero condition also, that incident frequency should be greater than threshold frequency. Okay. So this is told in the first statement. Now about the second statement, we will write this equation of Einstein which we have already discussed, that whatever incident energy is present, that is utilized in two ways. First part of it is utilized in taking the electron out, that means in work function, and remaining energy which is left, that is used as kinetic energy by the electron. And we have also seen that kinetic energy can be replaced by EV0 term, where V0 means stopping potential. Okay, so this way, if I have to discuss now about stopping potential dependence, so I need to shift this h nu 0 this side. So you see now, above the threshold frequency, that means once the photoelectric effect has started or electron has come out, then the stopping potential V0 is found directly proportional to the frequency of incident radiation. You can see it is written here that if we increase the frequency of the incident radiation, then V0 will also increase. Or we can say V0 and nu are proportional. Okay, V0 and nu are proportional. So let us understand one graph also to describe both the points here. So the graph will be drawn between V0 means stopping potential and nu means the incident radiation's frequency. Okay. Now we know that V0 is directly proportional to the frequency, but V0's existence doesn't start with the zero frequency. At least one frequency should be crossed, that is threshold frequency. Okay, after that the proportional dependence is there. So there is a straight line graph. The graph which is showing the stopping potential's dependence on the frequency. So remember here one thing, that stopping potential, it depends upon frequency. Okay, frequency, or you can also say energy of incident light. Okay, now stopping potential also we can write down, or Ke max also we can write down. That Ke or stopping potential both depend upon the frequency or energy of the incident light. These are very important conclusions. Based on that the questions are asked. Okay, so these are two laws discussed. Now note down these two laws. We are moving to next laws. Now we can discuss about photocurrent. So above threshold frequency. Okay, so this line is the must, because above threshold frequency only the photoelectric effect starts. So this is the starting line always. Okay, now the photocurrent is proportional to the intensity of the light. Okay, intensity of the light, and it does not depend upon the energy or frequency of the light. So just understand the meaning. We have discussed before also. More intensity means, more intensity of incident light means more photons incident. Each photon can take one electron out if the photoelectric condition is valid. So more photons incident means more photoelectrons will come out. That means they will make more photocurrent. So this way the photocurrent depends upon the intensity. So this we can easily discuss in form of the graph. So if the graph between current and intensity is required to be drawn, and how to write the intensity symbol, it is L, light intensity, it is I. Okay, this way it is written. Graph is a straight line, just showing the proportional relation. Okay, so this is the idea about the photocurrent graph. Point is about the nature of the photoelectric effect in terms of the time duration. The photoelectric effect is an instantaneous process. Instantaneous process meaning is that it is very fast process. Okay, that means how we have seen that on the metal surface the light comes, and if that condition is followed of threshold frequency, then electron comes out. So this is the first process and this is the second process. So how can we say that it is an instantaneous process? Because it has been observed that the time lag or the time lag between the incidence of the light and emission of the electron is very small. Okay, as soon as the light falls, almost at the same time the electron gets ejected out. And this time gap is so small, that means 10 raised to power minus 9 second, that we can say that this process is very, very fast. This sheet. Now, in these laws of photoelectric emission, certain times the graphs for 2 or 3 radiations are asked. Okay, now that radiations are given the condition that they are of same intensity but different energy, or they are of same energy but different intensity. So how to draw the graphs if 2 or more radiations are given? Okay, 2 or more radiations are incident on the common metal surface. What will happen? So here we have a table in which we'll understand the dependence. We'll list down the dependence. First of all, these are frequency and energy. They are interconnected. Energy of the incident light is h nu. So whether we say that we are increasing energy, it's one and the same thing, that we are increasing the frequency. Okay, so these are the first input factor. Then second input factor is what? Intensity of incident radiation. If the intensity of the input radiation is changed, it will affect which of the output factors. So these are the two input factors. That means these are the data related to incident radiation. Now, if we change any of the data of these incident radiation, then out of these two factors, which factor will get affected? Okay, so kinetic energy or stopping potential go similarly, and photocurrent is the another factor. Let us understand. So we have seen already the Einstein equation, h nu equal to h nu 0 plus Ke max. Okay, so that means this is fixed. This is the property of the metal surface. This is fixed. So if we increase the frequency or energy h nu of the incident radiation, kinetic energy will increase. That means kinetic energy depends upon the frequency or energy. Okay. Now one more thing. Kinetic energy we can also replace by EV0 term. Other factors will remain same. So this is again a constant. This is the work function of the metal surface. Now again, if we increase the incident frequency or incident energy h nu, then stopping potential V0 will also increase. That means stopping potential also depends upon frequency and energy. Okay, this way it is. After that, now intensity of incident light. Intensity of incident light means, intensity means more number of photons or number of photons falling per unit area per unit time. Okay, photons falling per unit area. Now, will the kinetic energy or stopping potential depend upon number of photons? So, no. It only depends upon each photon's energy. So, kinetic energy has nothing to do with the intensity of the light. So, it does not depend. Now, next thing is photocurrent. Out of these two factors, photocurrent will depend on what? So, photocurrent is framed by number of photoelectrons which are ejected, and number of photoelectrons will increase if more number of photons are falling. That means photocurrent depends upon the intensity. It does not depend upon the frequency or energy directly. Okay, so direct proportional relation is on intensity. So using this table, now we will draw here two types of graph. In one graph, we will keep the intensity same of two radiation, and in second graph, we'll keep the energy same. So let us come to intensity same graph. Let us understand these two graphs. Here first of all, I have to draw a graph between voltage and current. Okay, voltage which was applied at the supply, the changing voltage between the anode and cathode in the Lennard experiment, and current is the reading of the ammeter. Okay, so this is the current scale and this is the voltage scale. Now we have seen one thing, that current, how it depends upon the voltage. So we have understood here the existence of one particular voltage that is called stopping potential. Stopping potential is on negative side, and the meaning is how much voltage we apply, the minimum voltage which makes the current zero. So suppose at zero voltage applied some current was flowing. Now if we keep on increasing the negative side voltage, then current should become zero. That voltage is called the stopping voltage. Okay, stopping voltage is that voltage. Now this type of graph is there between V and I, and on increasing the positive side voltage there is no effect on the current, so the current graph is almost parallel. Okay, now we have two radiations given, both have the same intensity, and on intensity photocurrent depends. That means for two radiations 1 and 2, if the intensity is same, that means photocurrent will remain same. Okay, after that both are having different energy. Okay, different energy. Out of that, nu2 is greater than nu1. Okay, and on energy or frequency, stopping potential depends. So for more frequency radiation, stopping potential will also be more. So this way we have the graph in which we are showing two stopping voltages. You can see nu2 is greater, that's why stopping potential 2 will be greater than stopping potential 1. So V0, 2 and V0, 1, 2 stopping potentials we have to show here. So this is the graph in which we have shown all the factors. We have to draw the graph of two incident radiations. Both have same intensity, that's why both have the same current. Current is at common point, but both have different energy. Out of that, 2 has more energy, so stopping potential depends upon the energy. That's why V02 and V01 are separately shown. Now let us come to this side graph in which we'll keep the energy same, intensity different. We are given two radiations of same energy, different intensity. We have to draw graph between I and V. So first of all, for any one radiation, the graph shape will be this, that at 0 voltage current is maximum. As we increase the negative voltage, the graph comes to 0, current comes to 0. So this is that stopping potential V0. Okay, one graph is this. Now both radiations are having different intensity, and on intensity photocurrent depends. That's why for more intensity more current, that means for L2 and L1 are light intensities terms. So this is the graph for 2 radiation, then the graph for 1 radiation will have a little less current. Okay, so here I2 and I1 will be different. Okay, for 1 and 2 radiation. So जिसकी ज़्यादा intensity है उसकी current भी more दिखानी है, ये हो गया. After that, will the stopping potential be different? No. Stopping potential only depends on energy. It has to do nothing with the intensity. So if same energy is there of two radiations, same energy means stopping potential will also be same. That's why the two graph will merge at this point. Okay, so this way the two graphs are drawn. We have discussed all the laws of photoelectric emission along with the dependence of all the factors. Okay, note down, we are moving to the next topic. Now we have the next Heading: Verification of Einstein's photoelectric equation. As we have discussed that our Einstein equation is h nu equal to h nu 0 plus EV 0. Okay, this is our Einstein equation which is helping us to understand the photoelectric effect. Now this equation was suggested by Einstein, but it was verified experimentally by Millikan. Okay, so how it was verified, let us understand. First of all, EV0 will remain here only. H nu 0 is shifted on another side. Okay, we have to draw the graph between V0 and nu. So we need to make it alone. Okay, what we will do now, for drawing the graph between V0 and nu, what we have to do, we have drawn on y-axis V0. So compare it with y, and then in place of x-axis we have nu frequency. So this is x-axis. So it is mx plus c. So y equal to mx plus c is the standard straight line equation. So here straight line will be formed because v0 depends on one power of nu. So it is a straight line equation. Now let us compare the slope. Whatever is written with x, that is slope. So here whatever is written with nu, that is slope. Slope formula of this equation is coming h by e, and c means intercept on y-axis. So this c is coming negative, minus h nu 0 upon e. So this is the slope and this is the intercept. Okay, so if we draw the equation, we know that the intercept is coming on negative y-axis. From here this equation starts, and after that it is a straight line. Wherever it is cutting, that is nu 0 point. So this way what happened? So this was the shape of the graph obtained. Now what was done by Millikan for verification of Einstein equation? Millikan took different types of metals, okay, like sodium he took, then zinc he took, aluminium he took, like that. He took different types of metals and did photoelectric experiment on each of the metal. Okay, so he obtained some values for drawing the graph. So he measured the slope of the graph for V0 and nu for each metal. So you can see whenever we do the photoelectric experiment, so suppose for one metal 1 we are doing the experiment, we can increase the frequency of radiation, we can measure V0 stopping potential, and then we can draw the graph. For one metal one graph will come, for second metal another graph will come, shape will be same, okay, but different values will be there. So using the slope, okay, he then measured the slope of each of the graph. Okay, so using the slope, now slope of this graph is h upon e. So whatever slope he obtained, suppose he obtained the slope equal to 1.3. So 1.3 he equated with h upon e. Okay, and here he calculated the h value. Okay, knowing means considering that e is known and slope is known, he did cross multiplication and he solved h, that means Planck's constant. So whatever slope he obtained in the graphs, using that slope he calculated the h value, and that h value came correct. That means yes, that the slope of this graph is equal to h upon e. That means this part of the graph, this part of the equation is verified. Now second part of the equation is to be verified. So what he did secondly, he measured the intercept c also. Okay, you know that for every metal different graph came. Okay, so this is called the intercept on y-axis. So he must have got this value also from each graph. So suppose this intercept is coming 5. Suppose this intercept c is coming 5. So what he did now, intercept is equal to theoretically h nu 0 by e. So this 5 or whatever value he obtained, that he equated with h nu 0 and e. E and h also he substituted. So he got nu 0 for different metals. Okay, like for zinc he got nu 0, for sodium he got nu 0, for aluminium he got nu 0. So whatever threshold frequencies came, that all were correct. So this way he verified that yes, this Einstein equation is correctly framed. Okay, so this is the verification process. We are moving to next sheet. Students, we are saying from the starting, when we started the photoelectric effect, that we are here supporting the particle nature of light. Okay, particle nature of light. The name of the particle nature of light is photon. So why it happens that we wanted the particle nature only here? Okay, so what are the facts which are ruling out or discarding the wave nature of light, and it is supporting the particle nature of light? So we have to list down and we have to discuss all that points which are supporting the particle nature of light and photoelectric effect. Okay, so whatever observations we have seen in the photoelectric effect, that all observations will help us to understand this point, that here particle nature is only needed of light. Let us start now. See, first point is the threshold frequency concept. Okay, if we consider the wave model of the light, okay, according to the wave model of light, as the time passes, the energy gets accumulated. Okay, so suppose this is our metal surface. Now if we are considering the wave model of light, wave is coming. Now wave means it carries the energy. So suppose we continuously fall the light wave on this metal. So finally what will happen? Suppose the energy initially was insufficient, but wave is carrying energy. So finally it will impart enough energy to this electron which is present here. So it is sure that electron will come out after some time. So for every metal, whatever is the initial energy of the light, electron has to come out. That means no threshold frequency exists according to this wave model. Okay, so this wave model is saying that threshold frequency should not exist. Wave means continuously energy. So after some time, electron will definitely come out, but it doesn't happen. We have seen in the photoelectric effect that electron may come out or may not come out. And the condition is threshold frequency, or the barrier is the threshold frequency. So this is that point. So according to wave model, as the time passes, the energy gets accumulated and it becomes sufficient to take the electron out. So it should be sure that electron will definitely come out. So no threshold frequency should exist. But its existence has been confirmed in the experiments. Threshold frequency exists, that we have seen in so many experiments. That means the wave model fails. So first point is based on the threshold frequency's existence. Wave model says that no threshold frequency, and particle model says that yes, threshold frequency should be present. Now second point. Now continuing with the same logic. Okay, according to the wave model, with the passage of time, electron will come out. Okay, so as we allow the light to fall on the metal surface and we continuously fall the light on the metal surface, electron will come out. Okay, after some time it may happen according to wave model. But photoelectric effect is an instantaneous process. If the electron has to come out, it will come out immediately, and if it has not to come out, then it will never come out. Okay, so photoelectric process nature, that it is instantaneous, that also rules out the wave model. Okay, so here also with this point the wave model fails here also. Now the last point which will support the particle nature of light, that is based on kinetic energies dependence. Okay, according to wave model. Okay, if we consider the wave model. Okay, when wavefront of high intensity falls, okay, this light is falling. Now it is in form of wavefront traveling, wavefront of high intensity. Now we know that in the wave theory, in wave optics we have studied that intensity is proportional to amplitude square. So if we are taking the high intensity means higher amplitudes. Okay, higher amplitudes of what? E vector and B vector. electric and magnetic field. It means energy density is also high. Energy density formula, half of epsilon 0 E square and half of B square upon mu 0. So it says, wave model says high intensity means high amplitude means high energy density. Okay, so this means that if high intensity we are falling, so the electron which are coming out, their kinetic energy will also be more because they have got high energy and density, no? So this way kinetic energy should depend on intensity. But it has been proved that kinetic energy does not depend on intensity. So here also the wave model fails. So the idea is, third point is based on kinetic energy dependence. So wave model is saying that intensity finally means high energy density. Okay, high intensity finally means high energy density. And high energy density means kinetic energy of the electron which are coming out, that will also increase. But it has not been shown. Okay, it's not proved that kinetic depends on intensity. Okay, that's why this point is also ruled out. So finally, wave model here also fails. So you can see wave model is ruled out or discarded of the light based on the 3 points: existence of threshold frequency, then photoelectric process being instantaneous, and kinetic energy's dependence on intensity. So these are the sufficient points to give this answer of this question, how photoelectric effect supports the particle nature of light. Or the question can also be this way, why the classical theory or wave theory fails. Okay, written here, why classical wave theory fails. If this question comes, then also you have to write these 3 points explaining it properly. Students, as we have discussed that in photoelectric effect we have seen the particle nature of light. So let us discuss about that particle nature of light. We will call it photon. So what are the properties of the photon? That let us discuss. So first of all, when the light falls on any metal surface, it falls in form of small packets. Okay, so minimum packet of light energy is known as photon or also quanta. Okay, each packet has what energy? H nu. Okay, so this way it is. So like minimum charge is E, and charge on any metal surface can be 1e, 2e, 3e. In the same manner, energy is also quantized. Minimum packet of energy is h nu. So if there are n photons, that means the total energy of that light will be n h nu. Okay, so the idea is very simple, that the light which is coming to any metal surface, that we have divided into packets, and each packet means h nu energy. 2 packets means 2 h nu energy. 3 packets means 3 h nu energy. So this is the meaning. Each that packet is named as photon. Okay, let us discuss other properties also, like rest mass of photon is 0. Now this is a very conceptual line. Rest mass of photon is 0. Okay, now you see, mass means existence of something. So if we are saying mass is 0, that means this particle doesn't exist. But you can notice that one word is attached with it, that is rest mass. That means rest mass only is 0. Rest mass means when this photon is at rest, that time it doesn't exist. That means it only exists when it is moving. Moving mass is not 0. So meaning is that photon will always be moving. Okay, photon is that particle which is always moving. Make it simpler here, that rest mass of photon 0 means at rest it does not exist. That means in moving it will always exist. So means photon is always moving. Okay, now if it is moving, with what speed it must be moving? So photon travel at the same concept. Speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. Then if it is moving, so it should have momentum also. So now photon's momentum formula is not mv, because for mass we cannot say which mass to be put. You need to remember it in the easier manner. Photon's momentum is energy by c. Okay, Energy means h nu upon c. So this is that same formula which we use for all EM waves also. So here photons momentum is also the same. U by c is the calculation, okay, or h nu by c. Then photons are electrically neutral. Like if we discuss about electron, it is negatively charged. Proton, it is positively charged. So what about this particle? So photons are electrically neutral. That means they will not be deflected by any electric or magnetic field. Okay. Now, here one term appears, that is intensity. What is the meaning of the intensity? We are continuously discussing this term intensity. So there are two definitions of intensities. Here you should remember, or you should mention that according to particle nature of light, intensity has a different meaning, and according to wave picture, intensity has a different meaning. So both can be asked that define intensity. Okay, define intensity in form of particle nature or in form of wave nature. Both definitions in 1 mark can be asked. So remember, according to particle nature, intensity means increase in number of photons per unit area per unit time. Okay, this we have already used also in this chapter. And intensity in the wave optics. Okay, intensity according to wave picture. Like in interference and diffraction we have seen, intensity is proportional to amplitude square or Ka square. So these are the two definitions. We used this definition in optics chapter, and we are using this definition in dual nature chapter, unit 7 here. And then last point is about frequency and energy. All the photons of same frequency have same energy, because this formula is there. Energy means frequency only. Okay, energy increase means frequency increase. E equal to h nu, irrespective of the intensity. So remember students, intensity and energy of the light are two different things. Intensity means more photons, number of photons, and energy means each photon is having what frequency. Okay, that are the two different concepts, intensity and energy. So these we have discussed here. Now let us move to the next point. After completely understanding the particle nature of radiation, now we are coming to second part of this unit, that is wave nature of a particle or matter. So now let us discuss the matter or a particle. See, a particle is that object which has a mass. So the existence of particle means it is having the mass. Now, when a particle can behave like a wave, so it was given by de Broglie. De Broglie discussed about the wave nature of particle, and he said that every moving particle, he attached the word moving with the particle. So every moving particle behaves like a wave. Every moving particle behaves like a wave. And it is called the matter wave or de Broglie wave. So the meaning is that we know that whenever we want to discuss about a particle's wave nature, so what are the essential things? Particle is already having mass. But along with the mass, if it is moving also, that means velocity, then it behaves like a wave. That means then it will be having the wavelength, lambda. So how to get the formula for this wavelength, lambda, which is de Broglie wavelength also called? So that we need to discuss. So what we will do for the derivation of this lambda, we will use the energy equivalence concept. We need to find out that how much wavelength is associated with a moving particle. So we will be getting the energy formula in two ways. Energy of a particle, this is given by root of m0 square c4 plus p square c square, and energy of a wave we can always write as h nu. Now here the condition is that the particle should be moving. So here one part of the energy we will discard, because this means rest mass energy and this means moving mass energy. So we have to only pick the moving mass energy. So we will only take p square c square's root, that means pc. So pc equal to h nu. Now here we have only obtained nu. We have to come to finally lambda. So what is the relation? The replacement of nu equal to c by lambda. So here I am going to replace nu with C by lambda. Okay. Finally, this C and C are getting cancelled. So lambda we can shift this side, P we can shift downside. So the formula of lambda has been obtained as H upon P. H is a constant, Planck's constant. So the meaning is, you can here very well understand that if a particle is required to behave like a wave, that means wavelength, it should have momentum. Momentum means m and v both it should possess. So we can also write it in this manner, H upon mv. If only mass is there, velocity is not there, then no wavelength will be persisted. Okay, you can write it in this manner. If for a stationary particle, we discuss this formula. For a stationary particle, that means V equal to 0. If I put V equal to 0, then lambda answer is coming infinite. Now lambda infinite means wave does not exist. Okay, wave is not existing only. With the help of this diagram, lambda means this gap. Crest and trough, this gap is called lambda. If this is finite, so this way wave is visible. If we keep on increasing the lambda, so finally you assume that if lambda becomes infinite, okay, this gap is called lambda. If lambda becomes infinite, that means this wave picture is not seen only. On increasing lambda and try to understand that, then wave will not be seen only, it will be like a straight line motion only. It will be like a straight motion. So wave will not be seen. If velocity is 0, that means for a stationary particle, no wave exists. Okay. Now we can derive this lambda formula in terms of different factors. So note down this concept. There can be a number of formulas of de Broglie wavelength in terms of different factors. De Broglie wavelength in terms of momentum. So lambda is equal to H upon P. We have already derived it. In terms of velocity, if it is asked, so P is equal to mv. In terms of kinetic energy of the particle, if it is needed, so we have this relation. P square means momentum square upon 2m is equal to ke. So P square will become 2m ke. So this way P will become root 2m ke. This we have to put here. So lambda is equal to H upon P. P means root of 2m ke. Ke means kinetic energy. Okay. That means you can see lambda is inversely proportional to half power of ke. If the ratio questions are asked, carefully you have to solve. Now, accelerating voltage. Suppose a particle which is moving, that is accelerated by some voltage. Then how you can write the de Broglie wavelength associated with that particle? So only one formula, ke replacement is q into v. Okay, so ke replacement is q into v. That way you can do. So you can see all that factors. Momentum, it depends inversely proportional. Lambda depends inversely proportional to momentum. In the same manner, kinetic energy or V, it depends inversely on the root of V or kinetic energy. Okay. Now, suppose we want to make a standard formula for electron, which is accelerated by some voltage. Let us try it for the electron. Lambda of electron. So, in terms of voltage, so this formula, H is Planck's constant, 6.64 into 10 raised to power minus 34. 2. Mass of electron, 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31. Q means charge, 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19. V means voltage. Suppose the voltage is not given, but all the other factors are the constants. So that we can put, so if we solve all these other factors, 12.27 angstrom will appear in the numerator. Root V is unsolved left in the denominator. So root V we have to solve according to the numerical. Whatever value is given to us of the voltage, that we can put. Angstrom means 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. Okay. All these formulas for the numericals.